Hey there, beloved Ascension Pioneers, my most amazing family of light and divine love. I want to make this video because my path is kind of shifting into something more myself, more of my true self, at the same time more simple. What is happening now, I'm noticing a lot in the New Age community. There's a lot of complexity of information, of everything, and a lot of that consciousness still that, just is kind of pushing us away from us really realizing that we're already perfect and just starting to embrace more of our higher dimensional self instead of wanting to become it, instead of wanting to reach out for it somewhere. And my path is recently really kind of leading me towards a very simple outline of creating. Because I'm so creative lately, I just don't have time to record as much as I used to. I'm sorry, but it's just, everything is always in divine timing and divine alignment and guidance. I have a few things to say. Actually, I have a lot to say as always, but today I want to make this a bit shorter and compressed and just kind of like point out towards what I will be moving forward in my new videos. I don't know yet how this is gonna come into being, but I just want to move away from the old template, which was I've talked about this before, even in my most recent articles. In the old, there was a lot of belief that we're constantly clearing. I have this example when you ask someone, what just happened with they have a reaction or an outburst, or they have a certain pattern repeating, and they say, oh, it's just more clearing. And then you ask them, okay, so there's clearing, but is there awareness about it? What's the clearing about? Where is it taking you? Where there's awareness? What's the awareness that's coming through it? So what I'm noticing on my path as I'm looking sometimes at what's being shared out there, and not always is it coming from the highest truth and the highest expansion of the humankind, which we're moving towards as ascending beings. And a lot of times I'm noticing things that are being said that are just not true, or there's a lack of depth and there's something missing. So this old template was a lot about this clearing. It's just constant clearing. And in the new, in our true source, embracing our true source nature and literally becoming ascended beings. Not saying we're going to ascend somewhere. Some people say, I can't wait to ascend and move back to my home in, I don't know, Sirius, Pleiades, wherever. And the thing is, why I call this video Star Wisdom is because the wisdom of the stars is calling me. And lately, everywhere as I look around, there's these encoded messages. What started for me with a certain number frequency that just kept being repeated, and things when I go about my life, they're always repeated in certain sequences, codes. And these are codes. These are galactic codes. I will explain a bit further for us souls who don't come here. And actually, I need to emphasize that I couldn't be clear enough that nobody's actually from Earth, the same way that nobody is this and that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people ask themselves, who am I? And they expect an answer to come as you're a Pleiadian, you're a Sirian, you're a starseed, you're this and that. In truth, we're all divine love. We're all created and birthed through the same thing. And the difference here is more realizing things that we have a star origin. And what the star origin means for us is the vibration that we carry. I had this beautiful meditation this week, and I was asking myself, I never ask myself, who am I? Because I'm not a person, I'm not a personality, and I'm not an identity. But we have an overall vibration that we carry throughout cosmos as we become these beings, as being in service to all life. We, just like, for example, when you have these cards, Diana Cooper Ascension cards, she describes certain rays and certain master energies that are working with these certain rays and certain frequencies. This is what I'm talking about. This is more important. The rays, the energy that you carry, the vibration signature that you carry, not, like a certain outline that comes to a certain tag or a label. So star wisdom is something that is incorporated in the new. It's not something new, actually, because the whole Earth and the society on Earth, that it began, when the humans first were created and when they began their evolution, it was already based on certain templates and principles. And I've talked about my beginning videos a lot about principles of creation and understanding them on a deeper level and what they represent. And now I wish to kind of move forward with that in a new way. I don't yet know how, There's never about the how to. This comes, oh, and I get beepings in my ears, It's like today when I woke up totally renewed, recharged because we had a new energy wave and it was very intense. And I'll explain this further, what happens with the volunteering souls, with the pioneers, with the keepers of the truth when these waves come and go. But what I want to say is that the old template was a lot based about this, trying to find yourself, trying to research yourself, who am I, going to India, becoming more spiritual. Now in the new template is about how we become more human, how we integrate the divinity within our humanness, and how we actually see that it's both the same, and in humanity lies our divinity, and in our divinity lies our humanity, and both incorporated as one. So star wisdom actually, a lot of us who originate not from here, we have homes that are not here, and I wasn't actually even able to share a lot of that because I just felt it wasn't time. Because when you do that, humans want to look at you, not humans, that I'm not human, I don't mean that, I mean that other humans look at you in a way that, ooh, you're different, and then you get a different label, or you get a messiah label, or you get a, oh, you're the guru. And this is something that I was really avoiding. But the old is over and done with, and the new just needs to be all about embracing who we already are. And during the last year, I was embracing so much of my true self. And the meditation that I had 2 nights ago, I was working with the fire dragon energy because I was working with these cards. And I was sort of during the meditation because it felt a lot of lifting, lifting to the higher spheres. And the question that arose was, well, what am I, in frequency? And the answer just came instantly, when you just had that instant knowing. It's not connected with the mind, because the mind's like, pause, ooh, oh, and then you make a story up. And we're not these stories. And I'll explain this further. But the thing is that the answer was that I'm a life giver, a giver of life. And it's when I look at my life, there was a lot of people who used to tell me how much energy I have, how much I bring things to life, into form, how much I can create sometimes when I'm in my hyper mode in just one day. But I have to tell you guys, it's not always easy for me, and it hasn't been easy for me, because I come not, me as Bologna, but then my consciousness comes from a place that is very high in frequency. And sometimes, because I descended in order to ascend again. And there's a lot of us who came here for that reason. And it's time for us to just speak openly about it without the fear of being labeled as the new type of guru, or those who have the answers for everybody, and those who will then be asked all these sorts of questions, because this is what was happening. And I wasn't even guided to share most of the things that I knew and I understood. And, of course, a lot of them are just for me to know, and I will know when it's time to share them. But I felt that now it's time. It's just time. Of course, this just can come through sharing, through wisdom. But it needs to be spoken out loud, and this vibration that we are, we just need to embrace it. A couple of, I don't know, there was a few months ago, maybe even a year ago, I had this, I think it was a year ago, it was November. I had, each November, I guess, after the Scorpio energy, when we go plunge deep within, and then we rebirth it anew, we begin a new cycle. Last year was the same for me, when I finally embraced my role here on earth, as a guide. And I embraced it more because I used to push it aside. Maybe some people who don't understand, they used to say to you, but why you need this for? Everybody can guide themselves. But it's not true, because your energy has an impact with what you share. And you just share, you just put out there. And there's a difference between sharing through the heart, the sharing through love, and just that need to save and rescue. And this is not what the Star Wisdom is about. So I had another meditation. It wasn't even a meditation. Sometimes I do mirror gazing. I just stop by the mirror. It's, that dim light. I just look at it and I just feel the energy. I don't look at the faces, or even, it's not about that. I just feel the energy coming through, and I look at the shifting colors and the energy frame, because I can, it's natural to us when we tune into that. And it's always been natural to me. And I used to say a lot to everybody who used to comment on my picture saying, oh, you're such a beautiful Pleiadian. And I always said, no, I'm not Pleiadian, I'm divine love. Because I was so, I just didn't like what people used to do with that. And they still do it with the label starseed. When you read all those things that seem so beautiful and perfect, But a lot of people just read about it, and everybody now is a star seed, and everybody now is just this vibration. But you know, you begin to work with that energy. You begin to walk that path when you really start embracing and downloading your codes and sharing your wisdom with the world and really stepping up in your vibration and who you are and being of service. And it's not about rationalizing about it or conceptualizing about it or wanting to be something. It's not a wishful thinking thing. It's just you have that signature in the body or you don't. So the thing is that this was another mirror gazing, and I just walked past it. And I sometimes used to have this voice come to me when it's time, you know, when there's a really urgent message coming through. And it's the same way that my name Aurea came to me, you know, the golden one, the dawn. And it's just, it was this voice, like my higher self speaking to me and saying, why are you ashamed? You don't have to be ashamed of your heritage, of your origin. You know, you got to embrace it. And lately, all last week, I had messages coming in everywhere about Pleiades. You know, there's somebody sharing a picture of the seven sisters, and I go, wow, there's seven geese there. And you know, seven number is for me always been about Pleiades, and I've always been seeing 777s whenever my guidance from the higher realms was, you know, kind of pushing me, yes, this is the path to go, this is, you know, the go. And I've always understood things through my own soul guidance system, you know, not like somebody would say, this is what this number means, or this is what this dream symbolism means. But I've always had enough wisdom in me to understand what applies to me and what doesn't. This is called discernment. And this is what I'm trying to show people and to kind of help them activate this within themselves, because it's laying dormant still within many, and we need to invoke this in order to truly become the Ascended Masters. And it's something that Diana Cooper really beautifully speaks about. And I love this because it's not a wishful thinking sort of things, because sometimes I encounter a lot of humans that say, you know, they say to me, I'm an avatar, I'm this, I'm that, and it's always about the words. And I really quickly lose interest in that, because if I don't feel the energy, if I don't feel really that higher awareness through embodiment, which is what being a master truly is, each master masters itself in the body. And all my journey with Ascension Pioneers, I talk about embodiment in the body, soul in the body. It doesn't help you to meditate and be out there all the time if you never bring your soul in the body and eventually getting to the realms of your I am presence. And it's not just, oh, I'm linking to my I am presence and I'm anchoring this and that and I'm channeling this and that. This is old template. Remember, you're not out there. We're bringing ourselves in here. And this is what the Star Wisdom is going to teach us. It's teaching us what we already know, because as human beings, as humanity was first created, you know, through the creation principles of many creator gods who had the rules, not just rules, but the visions and everything to create this beautiful race of beings who would inhabit this beautiful planet. And later it was a bit messed with, you know, in another age. And this is how humanity has been learning, how these souls were learning through these cycles. But at the beginning, we already knew. It was all placed in our DNA, you know, and you must already know by now that there's a certain dormant DNA that lays within us that we're now uncovering, unveiling. So it's time for those of us who are here as volunteer souls to really claim that and just, you know, just say who we are, you know, and say, I am this and that, but I don't have to say it. I share it with all my heart. I share it through my content. I share it through my soul expression. I share it through the creativity work that I'm bringing forth. You know, for example, the soul essence stones that I'm doing, there's a lot of people who've noticed and they've said, wow, they're so out of this world. They're amazing. They're like little miracles. And I said, yeah, because they're not from this world. You know, I channel this directly from my home vibration. And many times people don't understand this, but for descending souls, us who didn't have to be here, but we descended in order to ascend again and to show the way of ascension because we knew how. Spirit always tells me this in my writing. It says, those of you who came here who already knew how to do it, who else? Because you already know, you've been through it. And in one of my dreams, when I was shown how I was having these beads and pulling them up, and only a few of them decided to come back up again and remember their color and origin and beauty and the rays of how they were created. And another dream showing me how I was holding this space before, even in Atlantis. And You know, I have to be honest. I didn't have past lives here in this planet. I wasn't even here since Atlantis, and that's why a lot of these earthly things they seem random to me. They seem weird, and sometimes I need more, somebody who shares things with me more in a grounded approach. Although that doesn't mean I'm not grounded. I'm very rooted. That's why I create things. I don't just say, "Oh, we're all spiritual," but I never do anything. I've always been very eager, very driven, very devoted. This is what I do. This is who I am. And I don't have to say out loud, I am this, I'm that. It's just the wisdom of the stars is teaching us how to live a life of higher dimensional existence. And this is what I'm showing through my embodiment. And I'll be sharing in a lot of the videos what this wisdom is actually here for, because it's already within us. We're just uncovering it, like layers and layers of what came in the next generations after that first original creation of the human race. So for example, everything I do, it has a vibration, it has a memory, and it has a sequence of certain light patterns that emanate from my own home. And what I'm doing is I'm recreating an energy of heaven on earth here. A lot of times it's not easy for me because, let's just face it, it's not my home. And sometimes I can feel exuberant moments of great happiness, of joy and bliss. And at other times, I just feel this is never going to be my home. I'm never going to feel the same, because even though I myself am source connected, I can always create, I can always pull things through that. And that's why I can always create things of beauty, because I have this beauty and this memory of it for my home space, which is not a physical place, although you can say that it is. And I remember a lot of things this year. I remember a lot of things from my elven home in Pleiades, because the elves are actually the prototype of the human race, how it was, in the beginning. And Tolkien wrote about it, and he shared it in his Lord of the Rings trilogy. And it's everywhere in his writings, even in the Silmarillion, which is the basic of the creation story that was behind all of that, the myth. There's a lot of truth there as well. And just this week I was watching something, and again I had tears in my eyes, and it was just shared there in the same way that the elves were actually, they were the first star race, the first beings that were the prototype for how man and all that should be. But then, other forms of it began to evolve. So we have different levels of creation there in those worlds. But there's always same messages there, same synchronicity. And the reason why I came here is to channel and bring forth through physical embodiment, through becoming it, to show this way of creating a cosmic awareness. It has nothing to do with earthly shamanism, and this is like the way of the old, the old, and having these rituals to find yourself, to discover yourself, but to always be your God self embodied. This is something that Diana Cooper writes a lot about in her books. I've been, I think, reading a few of them years back, and she always writes about this and how they were in Atlantis and how we were in Atlantis, and how the priesthood just held this pace, and the elves, the first ones, the wise ones, they were actually they were directly linked with these high priest energy. So when I create the stones, for example, they each have their own vibrational energy. They are the embodied essence of something. You bring things that you channel from the energy, you bring it into the direct physical form. This is one representation. The stones, because they represent the most grounded, heavy energy, and this is what we're doing. The mountain is always a symbol of the etheric energy of the portals, the gateways, and then they anchor all the way down through the rocks. They pull through the water, and there's always crystals beneath the mountain. And you can read them more through my oracle messages that I give through these stones and what they share. So each of these stones has a message. So I have created 33 bunch of them, and there's going to be 44 altogether. This is just the beginning. But the thing is that they each have a message, like, what's drawn on them, the crystals, how they're placed, the symbols. Everything is encoded. And I know when I do it, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. And then when I look at it, I'm like, oh, this means this means that, and then I can interpret it. But when I'm doing it in the moment, for example, this one, which I just showed you, this one has the Mahatma energy, the divine synthesis energy frequency. I don't know if you can see that properly, but it has, these symbols and spirals and the crystals. And this one has, for example, the angel frequency. There's also a feather here. You can see the feather and the stone, which has this. And this one is totally my frequency. The mountain, it's like a mountain portal, you can see. It's like a gateway, you see. and it opens, and then you have a portal like this. And then there's also a twin soul. You can see the feminine, pardon me, feminine and masculine. And this is rose quartz. And it's like it all has a message. And the same things we're coming through now with my paintings, because the star wisdom is always about higher dimensional language. The higher dimensional language doesn't come just through spoken word. So up until now, I was writing a lot. I was writing articles, blogs, everything. I'm not going to stop. I love writing. I always loved writing and putting things. And people always used to say that I have a way with words. And I love working with words, you know, when I write through my soul. Not like in the school, you know, when they say, you need to do this paper. And it was all bad. And I never wrote like really good ones because it was forced when you needed to do something. But the thing is that higher dimensional language comes through the form of color, you know, sacred geometry, tone, sound. A lot of humans also work with sound frequency, which is very important. Not just humans, also animals like dolphins and whales, of course. And the thing is that when I'm sharing the messages through the stones, I didn't even know they're going to be this lengthy, you know, it just started. But what started flowing through them was, wow, this is really, you know, in alignment with the messages were trying to tell me, the wisdom of the stars, the higher teachings, which I already had within me. But it was like, knock, knock, now it's time to share them. A lot of it is like how you become this root race of the new human beings. And I remember when these cards are really good, because when you need to work with a certain energy, or you're working with a certain energy, it will get quite repetitive. And when I began, I always used to get Serapis Bay with the Ascension wave, with the Ascension frequency, and the white, which is the color I, you know, started wearing all the time, white and gold. And this is the beautiful golden white pendant that my sister of light sent me from USA. It's really beautiful. Oh, and I started making necklaces myself, and this one I did for me. You know, it's kind of like a wire necklace, something more spacey, but I really feel good with it. The next time I kept getting another card, you know, which was the 47 number, and about the wisdom of the stars. And it was just like everywhere. And these messages started coming through. And I just know how to read them. And I know how to read them through the numbers and what certain sequence means. And a lot of times it's connected with certain cosmic rays coming in. And your human mind doesn't even understand. But the feeling side of life is really important, because the feeling will know, because it will feel. That's why my first message and foremost message is always about, don't try to, you know, when somebody's asking you something, or when you ask yourself, don't try to think about it. The first feeling that it comes, how does it feel? It's always about how does it make you feel, because it will be in according to how you are and where you are in your space of vibration, that meaning, you know, in awareness. But also, this path really began, you know, starting to knock on my path, and these are a few messages I want to read to you, because I really love this woman. Her name is Cheryl Lee Hernish. She makes these beautiful cosmic cards. They're all like fractals. She has 3 sets. I have all 3. 3 decks. I have the whole set, I mean. So I wanted to read you something here, because there's a lot of volunteering souls, which I like to address in my videos. And I've said in my previous video that maybe you won't always understand what I'm talking about, but the ascending humans and the volunteer souls know what I'm talking about, and they are remembering why they're here. And there's lots of young ones that they just know, they just feel, because they're so open and they're so pure. The difference today, I want to start with the first difference between the souls who have actually descended in order to ascend. And this is something that Sal Kelly in his works of Ascension material really beautifully describes. And I remember reading his books maybe 2 years ago, and it was just buzzing with energy and remembering so much. And like I said, now I keep being asked to now all this remembers to kind of start sharing it more in a new way, of course. So how to be these beings, because now everybody talks about DNA activation and the opening, but it's like, okay, so how is the physical life going to change? How are we going to change things in the physical? Well, we become it ourselves. We want technology to change. What would happen if we don't change? You know, everything that is externally outside of us as beings, it's like our play toy. Our play toys will always reflect us, you know? If you look at a child, someone will play with Barbies and will invent their own stories and wow, you know, dreams and visions. When I was a child, it was so creative. I always used to be a princess on the balcony when my grandma's, when I had these retreats there in her house. I just remembered, and I just started remembering, oh my gosh, I knew it. I remembered who I was back then. I remembered my elven home. Every time I walked, the balcony was a normal balcony, but her house was built in a different way. So I was like, wow, I felt like a princess there. And all these things. I know I'm kind of going too much with all of that, but all of these things, you know, they're like, they come from our imagination, and my imagination was always so wild, so evolved, and I was creating with it. And another child might just play video games. There's no imagination in that. So you see the difference. Everything that we create will always reflect our own inner state of being and our own evolution and where we are and what we want to create. But for those of us who want to walk the path of star wisdom, we want to become the new benevolent species. We want to become the new human prototype. And just as it says here on this most recent card I got, that, oh no, I don't know which one it was in the cards, but it was about the new prototype for the human race, you know, and just that perfected human being, which I was already talking about. But there are a few main differences that I want to talk about here, and I'll be going at it with my next video, because I want to make this in sequences instead of just putting it all in one video, because it would be too overwhelming even for me, because I always have much to say, but it, you know, if it gets too long, it's just not interesting anymore. There's these two messages from this oracle called the Return of Spirit. These are her last ones. And there's two messages that I really resonate with. I don't want to read you the whole one, but there's one that's called Starseed and another one that's called Vibrational. And the Starseed, and the Starseed one has this good message about the difference between the guides. If you are a soul who has actually descended in order to show the way of ascension to those who are ascending for the first time, then this message really beautifully describes this. Maybe I'll just read the whole one because it's really beautiful. The loving, benevolent being in this card has come to you today to share his words of encouragement. There are many who feel as though they don't belong here on earth. It can be a tough journey with many experiences and obstacles to overcome. You no longer have to question whether you are supposed to be here or not, or whether you belong. You most absolutely belong here, and it's true. Although sometimes it doesn't feel like your true home origin, you're here now, and we do belong, and we're creating a new home here. And we have a new family here, although our star family might be somewhere else. Your soul has chosen this incarnation for many reasons, and the universe has brought you here for a reason too. Do not doubt the wisdom of it. You're a very sensitive soul connected to the subtle energies that weave and ebb throughout the entire cosmos. You may find that you're acutely affected by the moods or thoughts of others as well. Although at times it may not feel like it, this is a gift. It is a special part of your makeup and blueprint. Your keen ability to sense and intuit these energies is an aspect of the gift you are here to bring to the planet. You could be any type of healer or teacher, or but this largely depends on whether you choose to hide away from the world or to engage in it. At times it may seem easier to just hide away. You know, this was never my choice. But that is not what you have come here to do. You carry a high frequency, and through your everyday contact with others, you are sharing it. As you allow yourself to open up to the world around you, you'll find yourself opening to the higher information and energies as well. Usually starseeds are guided and directed by beings, this is the important part, beings of a cosmic galactic nature. This can sometimes mean that it takes more effort and patience when communicating with their guides. The starseed card asks that you consciously work on developing your connection with your guides, as there is information awaiting you. So this communication, how it came through me through dreams. And I was asking myself, okay, why did my family of light visit me maybe 2 times in a year that way that I remembered it? And then it was shown to me by Spirit that they have to kind of travel their consciousness. And it's the same thing that Albert Kelly describes in his books when he shares how beings of a high vibration, if they want to make contact or be channeled through somebody, they need to descend the vibration, they need to lower it a bit. So it's kind of like a journey for them to come here. You know, even when in your dream time, you're not in that space, that you're like physically there, your body's still here. So this was revealed to me. It's not like, oh, they've abandoned us, they don't love us, but they kind of have to make the journey, or we're always connected and we're always telepathic in thoughts. But to feel them more intensely, like I had these 2 dreams that were very important, these elven dreams of mine, they were guiding me and visiting me actually. It's kind of when I read those words here that it kind of sometimes takes more time. But for us, it's also true that we don't just have these, we don't just work with angels and masters. We are actually working with our higher self, which we're showing the way to most humans who are opening up to that connection, that it is possible and it's normal and it's natural to work with your own divine self, not just with angels, masters, and guides. And this is a message of a lot of us here. And to bring and teach the message of empowerment, and that the divine love is love, wisdom, and power all together. And this is what I'm sharing in all of my oracle messages lately. So there's a second one, which message is vibrational, and this is something I also want to mention, that for us, it's not that we need to be more activated. People share these activations, and you need to line up with these energies in order to be activated. And it's like, oh, really? Because it's so natural, and actually, it's natural for everybody. But it's most human beings who've forgotten who they are. They don't share enough divine remembrance yet with themselves and others, so they don't have that. So they think they need to go to some healer to heal them, or they think they need to get activated on a certain date. What's happening is these light frequencies, these waves of pulsating energy that emanate directly from the galactic central sun and through all these various systems that channel through this energy, like our sun is, and therefore beaming it through the solar flares and rays, and then we get cosmic rays as well. All of these are parts to reawaken what we already are. So with us, it's not like we need to be more divine, we need to be more perfect. It's just we're reactivating what we already are and our gifts and abilities, and we're kind of showing that way to all others who have forgotten that as well. So this message is exactly about that, the message about vibrational. And I want to read it to you. It says, some souls come to the earth plane to simply experience life. Their focus is not on service. Their lives focus on personal interactions, not on the betterment of the planet or on humanity itself. You, however, are not one of those souls. You have incarnated for a much bigger reason. The core energy of who you are and the vibrational field you carry has a profound effect on all those with whom you come in contact. You may already be aware of this, or you may not. There is nothing you need to do to make your energy stronger, better, or higher in frequency. It does not need to be adjusted, altered, or activated. It already is all of those things. By believing that your energy needs to be improved, you're actually limiting the force and flow of it with thoughts of lack. So what's happening for me is I'm naturally hyper. I can do so many things at once, but when an intense energy wave comes, when certain portals are being opened and activated, a lot of, let's say, crap, the old energy comes out, and a lot of us have volunteered here to be as pillars of light. So kind of this energy waves pass through us, and we're kind of just serving as this neutral anchor point, so that the energies can neutralize of all that polarity consciousness. Well, not polarity, but duality. But because polarity is not the same as duality. So all this duality, all this shifting through you, and once it gets integrated, it's like, ooh, I feel hyper again. I feel good again. This is what happened this weekend. We had another gateway, another opening. It was very intense. So when this happens, you might feel it on your body, but it's not because you need to adjust more. You're acting as a conscious conduit, a channel for this energy to become neutralized through you, as you. It says here, so you did not come to improve your energy. You have come to this earth to use your energy. You see, this is what I'm doing. Creating all these things, and we create oracles and all these things, to show your heavenly energy and put it here in this plane of existence. So you come here to use your energy. You are an energetic powerhouse, and the vibrational card has come to remind you of this. You have the ability to affect and uplift the energy of anyone you come in contact with. Spirit is asking you that you place your awareness on this. You and the energy you hold is intended to aid and benefit your fellow human. You're very important. In your own unique way, through whatever it is you do, your energy makes an important and valuable contribution to this planet. It is time for you to claim your energy and the power you hold by focusing on how you use it and how it affects others. You are aligning your field to its intended purpose, to make a lasting and positive change in the lives of others, so therefore the lives of whole. So as a vibrational powerhouse, a lighthouse, a true being that knows who it is and shares the divine remembrance of it by others, with others, you're making a huge impact. And, others might also feel that on some level. For me, it happens that a lot of people dream about me. And most of the times I don't even remember my dreams. And sometimes I ask spirit, well, why is it so? Why do they know these dreams and I don't? And the answer I continue to get is because you don't even remember. Because I have these random dream occurrences that are always repeating in my dreams, these sequences. And once I read about it, that this is how your subconscious kind of, kind of hides what's really happening, the dream within a dream where you truly are. And it was asking, well, where am I? It's like out of space somewhere. And this is the only way when you can expand your consciousness so much that you can work with many people at the same time. Maybe three souls will have the same dream with you, but it might be different dream, because it's like angels. You don't know, and you say, how can they be at different places? And we can always invoke the energy because they are divine virtues that are always there. So when you expand your consciousness enough, you become this divine virtue. And like I said, the old age of really the age of the mind, which a lot of souls are still trapped in that, and it's they're saying all these beautiful things about them, I'm an avatar being, I'm this and that. But when you ask them about their life, how they live, and that doesn't always mirror what they're saying, you gotta be really, discerning, even when you look at yourself. I've asked in my most recent writing to all of you guys to maybe envision and ask yourself, how do you really feel a master to be like? What is a master truly like? What are its qualities? Sometimes people who say all these things that they are and they don't yet embody it, just it's egoic wishful thinking. It's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to embody. If you know something, well, it's time to act upon it, embody it. And then I start asking these people, okay, so how do you live? Do you still eat meat? Do you smoke? What do you do? And they're like, well, they start making these excuses. And, a higher dimensional being won't engage in things of the lower, denser realms. They're really the manipulated ways and the astral realms and all of that. It just won't have the affinity to that. So when we become ascended masters in real, we are so conscious about all our choices. We're devoted to everything that we do. Everything becomes a practice. Everything becomes sacred. Everything is holy. And this is what the main thing about Wisdom in the Stars is about. And to not forget that we are love, wisdom, and power. Because a lot of souls, I'm noticing, they're just always focusing on love. And they're saying, love, feel the love, feel the love. But they never, really step into the realms of knowing their wisdom and discernment too. This is so important to balance this out, because as creation beings, we were all created through the Trinity, through the trifolded flame of all. And yeah, this is what it says here. You see, Almoria will soon become the Manu, the perfected man, on whom the new root race of humanity, with its 12 strands of connected and active DNA, will be based. So in drawing this card, you're asked to lead by example, employing the self-discipline, strength, and integrity of an ascended master. You're reminded to use your power for the highest good. So you got to walk as a master, not just talk. It's if it sounds very glittery and beautiful, but if you just have constantly this, you just stay in your astral travels all the time, and you never start, descending in order to ascend. You gotta really take evaluation of that and see why this is happening, why you don't want to move forward and truly mastering yourself. And the mind can trap us this way, but we came here to be what we know that we already are as divine beings. So this is the first video, and we will see what happens next and what will be guided to share next. And it's not that it's like, okay, no, this is like this whole new series. I'm just transforming from within, like all of you guys are as well. And then naturally many changes, but there's subtle changes. Sometimes people say, oh, a portal is opening, now everything will change. It doesn't happen that way. But if we would be standing somewhere in the threshold, maybe 10 years from now, if we look at it through the realms of linear time, and we would just look at our changes that we made, we'd be amazed. This is how the source light is truly amazed by all of us. So continue to stay updated. The stones which I'm making, I will wrap up all 44 pieces this week, and after I'm finished, I'm gonna get some crystals, because my Canadian friend, thank you, and some other friends are gonna send me some crystals, so I can actually send out the stones with crystals, so they'll be super powerful. When I get all of this done together, check out my blog, and I'll be posting on my Facebook page when this will become a personal service as well, because I can always so easily tune to the energy vibration that needs to come through. And if you're interested in that, I'll put that as a personal service, because a lot of people were asking me, oh, is your art for sale? I'm like, well, you just got to stay updated and see what's happening. So be creative. This is what the Star Wisdom is teaching you. Be sensual. Live your life to the fullest. Don't just dream about it. Don't just be here. Live it. Embody it in all your senses and all that you are. So take care, my beloveds. I'll talk to you soon. So much love. Bye-bye.